They came with 3 different variations. One of them was the Maudus, which I was a vehicle commander of. It is is mounted with a 50 cal on top. And then the other variations were, one was a Mark 19, which was a fully automatic grenade launcher. And then the third one was a mortar version. The top opened up and they could shoot mortars out of it and then move. Typically when mortars fire, the enemy will use the trajectory and the way the round hit to calculate where you shot the round from, and within minutes they'll be firing back at you, so you didn't have very long to pack up and move out. So we used those to basically move our mortar teams around quickly. The other part was the Javelin. It was a soldier-fired missile. It was basically to replace the RPG, and it had heat signature technology, so you could track a target and you could shoot it so it fired directly at the enemy, or you could set it so it would shoot way up in the air and then strike the enemy from the top, so it would go way up in the air and then come straight down on top of the enemy, which was a really neat aspect, and it was great for advantages of war. Whenever enemies hid inside buildings and stuff, you could shoot it through the front of the building, or if they were underground or behind a building or something, you couldn't see them, you could shoot it over the top and drop it on top of them. The life of a soldier deployed is, it's a tough subject for a lot of people. Most of them won't talk about it. It's a very touchy subject. Most guys try to avoid that topic just because it's not something that we try to relive. You find a lot of overseas things that, like, you see a lot of the stuff with the media and stuff like that that they don't tell you about. Like when we were there, they don't point out the fact that we were like teaching little kids in the streets to jump rope, or inflating and passing out soccer balls as we traveled through different areas of the country. When we first got there, there was like very limited access to anything, so trying to communicate with our families was like non-existent. We lived in tents. We didn't have showers. If we did, I mean, they were few and far between. It wasn't nothing for us to go a couple weeks without a shower. Didn't do you much good anyways. You go in the shower, you come out clean, you step outside, and as soon as you step back out, you were already dirty, because the dirt over there is almost like flour, so it's really dusty. You see in the movies and stuff like that where these guys try to communicate with their families and they're talking, doing these little live feeds and stuff like that. Some of that's true if they've got actually good access to some of the information or some of the technology. Where we didn't have access to any of that, it was just like once in a blue moon you could actually get some sort of internet and actually get connected to where we'd actually make some of that. What do you see? I apologize for my little shit here. The communications to communicate for a soldier with his family was kind of hit and miss, and there was times we'd go out on missions where you couldn't communicate with your family because they didn't want you to know what you were going to be doing, and they were afraid that the enemy would, intercept your communications and be able to tell what you guys were getting ready to plan. So it was kind of, it's hard to kind of describe. But you'd go days, sometimes weeks, months without being able to talk to your family just because of what you were doing at the current time or what you had going on. The life of a family back home was stressful because, they didn't know what was going on. Sometimes you couldn't tell them what you were actually doing, or that you were going out, getting ready to go out on a dangerous mission or something like that. So the fear of the unknown is a good way to put it. You never knew what they were doing, and you didn't know what was going on, what you were going to be doing, and they didn't know what you were going to be doing. The back at base, like your families are like, they all get together and kind of do, it's called family readiness, where they all get together and basically have events and stuff like that, kind of share information. You know, some of them have information that, you know, where they were able to talk to somebody, and where, you know, it's kind of like waiting on like the old payphones. I'm sure some of you guys are not sure what that is, but they would be able to communicate, and so then kind of information would kind of get shared through the families that way. We would do, like, they'd plan events and stuff like that for, you know, the families to get together and actually kind of take away from the stress of being at home while their, you know, their significant others deployed. Over in Iraq, all the leaders were named after a deck of cards. So you've got 52 deck of cards, and like Saddam Hussein was the ace of spades. And so as you went through and you found different leaders of, you know, or like the family of Saddam Hussein, you know, they had different cards. Like you had the ace of spades, you'd have like the queen of hearts, whatever, you know. And there's I think there's only 4 left in Iraq since when they originally started, and most of them have been detained and put in prison. Some of them passed in prison, some of them were killed over there. As far as being deployed, you find some of the entertainment is like, you'll find camel spiders. If you don't know what a camel spider is, you're gonna have to look it up. If you had a fear of them, or a fear of spiders, you really had a fear of a camel spider, because they were definitely something else. And if you're anything like Sierra, you've seen them on Fear Factor, and I don't know how in the world they eat them. I didn't even want to touch them. A lot of the information I have is from first-hand knowledge. I was in the Army from 2001 to 2006. I was actually in basic training when the Twin Towers were hit. And that's how like a lot of this information has been learned as well, first-hand experience, unfortunately for myself. I was from 2001 to 2006, and I was medically discharged in 2006, and here we are today. Aren't we, Pinky? Yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. But adding on to like what my dad just said also, like life at home was like really rough for people. Like if they had like a soldier out like that was deployed, they really worried about them. And there was also a lot of increased security measures, and a lot of people were like almost like scared, or like I want to say like overprotective, kind of like after like the 9/11 attacks and the war, and while everything was going on, a lot of people avoided like public or like large events or locations because they thought that it would be dangerous. Like if there was like a terrorist attack or like anything like that, it would be bad to be in like a big place with lots of people. And then pop culture, wrapping it up, mullets and aviators and loop earrings, which I love loop earrings, but were very in fashion at the time, and songs such as Someday by Nickelback and Stacy's Mom by Fountains of Wayne came out in 2003. I hope you all enjoyed. Bye.